Namaste. Welcome to Bhakti Yoga Conference 2026. Sacred community walking the path of love together. Just like I see Angie and partner up there in Canada walking the path together. I'm Happy Jack, founder of Happy Jack Yoga and our host for today. And this is our second annual gathering, bringing together monks, scholars, musicians, spiritual leaders. And so we opened the conference last week at Harvard Divinity School, and we'll have the closing gathering at the Oxford Center for Hindu Studies. But really it's an opportunity to explore bhakti, explore devotion, spiritual community support, just be on this path of bhakti together. As of now, we got over 6,000 beautiful souls who have registered, anywhere from Harvard students to bhakti yogis, to yoga teachers, to recovery enthusiasts, of course, today, which is beautiful. And really, it's meant to be a space of spiritual friendship, of community, and heartfelt conversation. And if you'd like, leave a little message in the chat for those who are live with us. Share where you're calling in from, just so we get a sense. We can send you some love. And really, wherever you're calling in from, thank you for being a part of this global Sangha. And now, it is our great honor to introduce our speaker today. Please welcome to the virtual stage, Jiva G from Bhakti Recovery Group. I'll say a few words intro, and then we'll bring her off of mute and on. Jiva G is the founder of the Bhakti Yoga Group, an international fellowship that brings together the practical process of the 12 steps with the spiritual path of Bhakti Yoga. She has been active in 12-step recovery for over 35 years. This is a practicing bhakti yogi and works as a recovery coach, helping people address addictions, codependency, and the patterns that interfere with spiritual life. 6 years ago, she founded the Bhakti Recovery Group, which has grown into a global network with more than 20 weekly online meetings, supporting devotees and spiritual seekers around the world. The work is supported by the Jagai Madai Foundation, a registered nonprofit dedicated to expanding this service and outreach. Friends, if you're ready to welcome Jiva G, throw your arms in the air and loudly chant Hari Bol. So honored to have you here. Jiva G, welcome to Bhakti Yoga Conference.
Oh, thank you so much.
So,
what a nice introduction.
It's so fun to have you back, and that's the key word, back. It was such an important conversation that we had last year, and we feel like and I'm just looking at good friends here who are in recovery, just like myself and yourself, and it's very relevant. And even for those who don't have addiction, as I'm sure we'll get into, it's just such a powerful program. But maybe before we get to Bhakti Recovery Group, Jiva, so you've been walking this path of recovery for over like 35 years. Some of the yogis here are not yet 35 years old, but 35 years of your life have dedicated. Can you share a little bit about your journey? What first brought you to recovery, and how did Bhakti Yoga become part of that path?
What a wonderful question. Thanks for asking. First of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances unto all Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and they're full of compassion for the fallen and conditioned soul. And all glories to all of the devotees that are here, and the people who are friends of devotees, and everyone in recovery, and everyone who's not in recovery, and everyone who's here. And thank you, Jack, so much for hosting this last year and this year. It's phenomenal, and I love this forum. I love how you've just set it up. So thank you so much. I am surely not qualified to sit here, but I will do my best. So, thank you.
Thank you for the beautiful. You're definitely qualified, and this is such an important topic. And for those who might have missed last year's session, we like to ask the speakers what brought you to spiritual path, but for yourself, what brought you to recovery? How did Bhakti become part of that journey?
So, I I started to get into some wild youth in my day, and got into all kinds of crazy crazy situations. And I was wild. I was a wild card. I never liked societal rules. I didn't like the establishment. I was not very happy about um, having to learn the things that I learned in school, which I found super ridiculous. I mean, just like that, I was a rebel, and I just did not feel like that. I always had this very strange sense of society being somehow really off and the values being off. That was always an innate sense in me, and I just wasn't really on board with it. And but I was raised in an atheistic family, and there was no like spiritual consciousness in that way, and there was nothing really but other material things for me to sort of try to latch onto for some sort of support or guidance, and I hadn't found it. So of course, Christianity says the devil will find work for idle hands to use. So, I fell in with the crowd. I started using drugs. And then by the time I was 19, I was addicted to heroin. I was a musician, a school dropout. I played bass and sang in a punk rock band and ran the streets wild. And by the time I was 28, I was a full blown heroin addict, homeless, hopeless, desperate, and had actually nowhere to go. And I had realized one fine day, I had hit my bottom, and I really, actually, I have to go. I say this story a lot, and I think anyone who's ever heard me speak knows this story. So I'm going to make it really short. It's going to be a condensed version. And it was the day that I surrendered, because it is very important to the story. I was kicked out of rehab because I had relapsed. My daughter was taken by her father away from me, so to protect her. And I was running around. I had no jacket. I didn't have any ID. I didn't have anything. It was a very warm February day. By the end of the day, I had gotten arrested for stealing food and alcohol to sell to get drugs. And they released me, and I got on a train, on a subway, got into some fist fight. This is just like insanity. I know this sounds like super insanity. I was smoking a cigarette. I get on the train. Someone tells me to get off the train because of the cigarette. Then we start fighting. And by the time I get to this place where I could maybe get some drugs, it was pitch black. It started snowing. I was shivering. I must have weighed 90 pounds. And what I remember is, and the funny thing is, I was there yesterday because I moved back to Berlin in the summer. So I was exactly at that spot yesterday with my son, and I couldn't share that with him. But I was standing on the street, and I got to the street where they sell drugs, and I was looking down the street, and it was snowing, and it was dark, and there was a street lights, and it's a very straight street with all of these street lights. And you could see in the rays of light all of the snow falling. And I was really in the middle of the street, looking down that street and hearing that, when the snow falls, all of a sudden it's like a soundproof room. It starts to get the sound starts to get dull. And I was walking, and it was crunching under my feet. The snow was crunching under my feet. And something inside of me changed. And I looked down the street, and I opened my mouth, and I didn't even mean to say it, but it just came out, and it was, this can't be the rest of my life. It just can't be the rest of my life. And in that moment, I never wanted to use drugs again, ever. And it took me about a week to get home, to go back to New York. I called my father, collect on a call when we had telephone booths. And he sent me a ticket. It took about 4 or 5 days. And after I arrived in New York on March 2nd, 1997, I never used or drank or used a substance again.
Wow.
And
That's congratulations.
yeah, that wasn't me. See, that's the thing. We have to congratulate God for that. We have to congratulate at that time. I say Krishna now, but then it was just, I didn't know who that was, but it wasn't me. I was the one getting into jail. I was the one copying drugs. I was the one making those decisions. God was the one taking me out of that. And I felt it deeply. I felt that so deeply. And I started going to a 12-step program after that. I started to attend AA and NA like my life depended on it, not like my life, because my life depended on it.
Yeah.
And I surrendered. I surrendered with every fiber of my being.
Wow.
And I just want to, do you have a question?
I do, but if you got something, you're just like burning the
No, no,
ship.
please, please,
Yeah.
please, please, please,
So,
please.
I mean, it's so beautiful. First of all, thank you for your, we've met many times, and I just always admire and appreciate your vulnerability and openness and honesty of just like laying it on the line. And it's a powerful story, and some may relate, and many, many may not have been, had that type of addiction. But many people associate addiction only with substances. But from
Yeah.
my understanding, working with you, recovery work often speaks about deeper patterns. There's codependency and avoidance, and so from your perspective, what are the deeper addictions of the heart that prevent people from living spiritually?
So this is an excellent question, Jack. Really, this is an absolute excellent question because, and it really goes back to when you said, "How does that relate to my bhakti and what happened then?" So,
Yeah,
how does that tie in? Anything. We're addiction addiction is just an outcome. It's just a manifestation of something deeper. Addiction is not, oh, I'm an addict, I'm not an addict. It's okay, we all have addictive parts of us to certain addictions, such as our own feelings, such as negative thought patterns, whatever they are, and however they manifest, it just looks different than everybody else. I didn't start to realize that until I discovered bhakti. But I have to say, and let me just read something to you, just a paragraph, because um, this is the position of how I was able to even approach bhakti. Yeah, how was I even able to approach bhakti? If I didn't have those, some of us are beaten into submission and some of us go willingly. It depends on our karma. It depends on what body we're born in, what circumstance we're born in, what kind of past lives we've had. And it's all interdependent, and it's all specifically designed for our benefit. And that's what people don't understand. And just because I used heroin and you didn't doesn't mean we can't meet at surrender. It just might take something else, something totally different to get there. And so that was my story. My prescription from Krishna was to be a heroin addict. Just the way it is. I see it that way. And I accept it. I accept it. And
wow,
I'm grateful.
that's
So, yeah, I mean, when I further went into the program, the program started to reveal to me, and these were just like the years before Bhakti, they started to reveal to me that I'm not addicted to drugs only. I'm freaking codependent. I like, I'm constantly trying to put people, places, and things to fill up that God-sized hole within myself. How many minutes of the day do I waste in trying to fill something that can only be filled by God? And this is what I realized through my recovery. And I never could verbalize that until I found bhakti.
wow. That's so powerful. I think of sometimes in spiritual communities, people can feel pressure. A yoga community, spiritual community, pressure to appear peaceful, evolved, or having our shit together. Pardon my French. How can that actually make it harder sometimes for someone who's struggling?
I love that question, Jack. Honesty is going to be our catapult. If we're not honest with our fellows and honest with ourselves, we're not going to make any progression. And we need a place. And this is the thing, like you said, in so many spiritual communities, there isn't a safe place where we can say, hey, you know what? Did you know that I don't believe this? Or did you know that I'm feeling really like today? I'm just really crappy. I'm feeling sad. I mean, I'm even guilty of it. Sometimes, I facilitate all of the Bhakti recovery group. I'm facilitating all these things, but I still have a space where I can go and be vulnerable because I need to. We all need to be vulnerable. At least that's my experience.
Yeah.
And we can't, we can fake things until we make it. We can fake it till we make it to a certain degree, but we need somewhere where we can say, hey, I'm struggling right now. And we need that amongst our Sangha. Our Sangha is so important. It's so important. I cannot emphasize how important Sangha is. It's close. It's a mirror. It's a Sangha is our mirror. We learn from our Sangha. We hear our Sangha. We teach our Sangha. It is a reciprocal relationship that mirrors Krishna's will for us and the power to carry that out. That's what a Sangha is. It is that powerful.
Yeah. And for those who are newer, Sangha, essentially community, the association. Could you help us, Jiva? Because so there will be a number of people here who are new to recovery, and so they're not familiar with the 12-step program. We've all heard of it, but maybe we don't know the details. And then there's also a lot of people here new to Bhakti. Obviously, that's like a huge topic to teach 12-step and to teach Bhakti. But can you just what are some of the parallels that you see between 12-step, between Bhakti, that have kind of brought your work together?
Okay, so what the very first, that's an essential question. And I can't separate it from my experience. So I'm going to speak quickly on my experience that when I hit about 17 years of sobriety, not using drugs, not using, not using alcohol, not using sex, not using all of these things that I used to use in order to get by. And, through my recovery, even when I got clean and sober, it was just about the drugs. I slept with who I wanted. I did with what I wanted to do. I did whatever it is that I wanted. Everything was free range except for the drugs. So what I realized after 17 years in is that at some point, I still felt empty and I needed something deeper. I needed a real understanding. I needed to think higher. You go to an AA meeting. I went to an AA meeting or an AA meeting, and I started to realize that, well, they're still smoking and they're still sleeping around and everyone's still kind of having like a lifestyle that I want more. I just want more. I want more. Or I want less. I want less of the material world. I want less of it. So but when I discovered Bhakti, and that's a whole nother story, and that'll take way too long, but it was through Kaustubha, my dear friend, childhood friend, my brother, who I consider my big brother. I reached out to him, and he taught me Bhakti. He taught me what it means to be a Bhakti yogi, what it means to be a Vaishnava, what it means and it started with a yoga teacher training, of course. I started to get curious because I started to learn about what Bhakti yoga was in my yoga teacher training. And I started to see the parallels between a 12-step program and Bhakti yoga. A 12-step program is really simple. It's 12 steps. And it starts just like Bhakti. It starts with surrender. We admit that we're powerless over our bad thinking, bad behavior, and that our lives had become unmanageable in one form or another because of that. So it's surrender, the first step. The second step is faith. We start to believe that a power greater than ourselves can help us. The third step is that we come to that we make a conscious decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand God, whom I call Krishna. Fourth step is when we start to take inventory. We go into an inventory of ourselves, which is really easy. Any good shop has to know what it has in stock. If we don't know what we have in stock, we can't sell well. If we're at a grocery store and we keep putting, the new stock in front of the old stock is going to go bad at some point. We have to keep our stock. We have to know what we have we have to know what's down there in order to release it. So the fourth step, we have an inventory. The fifth step, we share that inventory with ourselves, with God, another human being. This is very essential because a lot of us have a lot of shame around those things. So that shame, we share that with someone else. It teaches us humility. It teaches us, it brings all that dark stuff right up to the surface, and it eliminates shame. And then we have the sixth step is when we become willing to have God remove all of these things that we've just talked about in the fourth and fifth step. The seventh step is we ask Krishna to remove them. We ask God to remove all of those shortcomings. The eighth step, we make a list of people we had harmed, and we became willing to make amends, which is really important, especially for drug addicts and alcoholics and codependents and dysfunctional families and people who react emotionally immaturely on someone else and make their problems someone else's. There's a lot of shame in that, and we need to make a list of those people, because we'll figure that out from the fourth and fifth step, who's going to be on our eighth step list. The ninth step is we make direct amends, which means we don't say sorry only, we make amends. You stole money, you pay money back. You didn't show up for your son or your daughter because you were terrible, or you were I don't want to say terrible, but you were emotionally unavailable for your children. Now that you're in recovery, you don't have that excuse anymore. So you show up for your kids. That's an amends. Step 10, that's the cleaning, that's the dusting of the house that we cleaned in the fourth step. So we continue to take that inventory. And when we were wrong, we admitted it. And when we were right, we look at it too. We need to take inventory. We need to keep tabs on ourselves. Step 11, this is the step that I want to live in. And this is where I believe that every Bhakti yogi enters into being a Bhakti yogi. That we sought. And so I'm going to do the Bhakti Recovery Group 11th step. It's slightly different. It's approved from AA, but it's still slightly different. It's that we sought through prayer, meditation, and the chanting of the holy names to improve our conscious contact with Krishna as we understand him, praying only for knowledge of Krishna's will for us and the power to carry that out. And then step 12 is, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to others who are still struggling, and we practice these principles in all of our affairs. So what we've learned, and we go through these steps, it's surrender, it's cleaning house, it's serving others, it's through prayer, meditation, and then it's serving others, and then giving it back. We receive so freely, we give it back. And when people enter bhakti, it's the same. We enter because we want to know. Look, actually, this is perfect. If anyone knows this book, it's called the Bhagavad Gita. It's a conversation of Arjuna and Krishna. And in chapter 7, the 16th text, it says, "Oh, best among bards, it doesn't matter. 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, and the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute." So many people, we're the ones of the distressed, especially the alcoholic and the addict and the people who suffer from their material miseries or material bondages. And that's why we come, and we enter the world through that, because we're either looking, are we not? We're desiring wealth, maybe not wealth and financially, but spiritual wealth. We're inquisitive, we're curious, or we're distressed. Those are the people who want to look for Krishna. And so, yeah.
Wow. That's so beautiful. Such a powerful program. And I just see and feel like the congruency and the conviction. This is you didn't just read the book. Like we can feel you've been living this for 35 years, and you started hinting on it, but just kind of bringing it to the conference theme of sacred community, walking the path of love together. Why is community, or as you say, sangha, so essential in recovery? Why can't we heal these patterns alone?
What a great question. You ask great questions. I'm going to have you on my podcast. By the way, I have a podcast, people. It's called the Bhakti Recovery Podcast, and I want to have you on, Jack, if you will be willing.
Of course, of course. We actually, there's many ways to connect with Jiva. We'll have a link under it, like podcast, WhatsApp group, website, Instagram. We'll make sure we got all the links. But yes, please.
Great.
So why is community so essential?
And it's what devotees say too. It's our community. This is why. This is where we're going to get nourished. Sharing experience, strength, hope, knowledge, love, and caring. We're not meant to live alone. No human is meant to live alone. We run in packs. We need association. We need reminders of who we are. We need the people who trigger us to figure out why we're even triggered. In that sense, we need teachers. We need students. We need everybody. We need every single person in our lives. And don't think for 1 second that anyone who hasn't entered our lives wasn't there for a reason. But especially in a community, in our Bhakti Recovery Group community, we're really close. We're a very close-knit community. We get online and it's not, how are you doing? I'm fine. What are you reading? I'm reading this. No, it's like, here are the readings. What's going on with you today? And we do that for an hour. And we do that every day, more times in the day. I mean, we have 20 meetings a week. And it is said, first of all, nobody can recover alone, because if we are left to our own devices, our minds can tell us a lot of things. It's great to have other people in our community to keep us in check. It's great to share our experiences, share our strengths. I'm not alone, to know that you're not alone. When you're in a community setting and we're sharing these things, we learn so much about ourselves. We say, oh gosh, I have the same thing. Okay, what are they doing about it? It's not about coming to a meeting and complaining. Some of us have bad days and we do share that we're not well at the day, or we're struggling or whatever, but it's experience, strength, and hope. This means this is what's going on with me. Here is the literature I'm reading, or what step I'm on. And I'm not alone, because all of you guys are here today. So, yeah.
I love that. I love it. I know sometimes we can be hard on ourselves. And I'm just curious, like, what role does compassion or non-judgment play in recovery, in bhakti?
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. I find myself sometimes not being as compassionate as I'd like to be. Because sometimes, people, and, I'm not talking about the Bhakti Recovery Group, but just, I'm sure everyone has in their lives somebody who's constantly on the pity pot, or constantly complaining about the same thing, and is not willing to change, or not willing to do anything different, or not willing to get off their ass and do something, and when you hear the same song and dance for years and years, at some point you're just kind of like, all right, dude, I don't want to hear this anymore, or do something, So while I am compassionate, because I've been that person before, and that's another reason why Sangha and why community is so important. I've been that person before. But to be non-judgmental, that is key. We can have our opinions on people. We can have our opinions not on people, but on the things that they do or the habits that they have. We can have our opinions, and then we might not resonate with them. But I'm going to quote the Bible this time. He who is free of sin may cast the first stone. I, I don't know how to really judge somebody. I can see people's character flaws. I can see sometimes when people do things where I'm not in agreement of, or that I'm not on the same page as them. But I can't judge them. And it's so essential, because when we start feeling judged, we won't be open, and we won't be able to share our experience, strength, and hope with each other if it's a judgmental thing. When you show up to a meeting, we're not cross-talking. We show up and people speak. There is no cross-talk. We don't interrupt. Everyone gets to say what they need to say. And when they're done sharing and you like what they're sharing, or even if you don't, you can't say, oh, what Jack said, I don't agree with. There's none of that. The only thing that's there is, even if you say, like, well, maybe, yeah, I like what Jack said, I resonate with that because, and then you take it to yourself. We only talk about our experience, our strength, and our hope. It's not this, it's about the I.
That's so powerful.
The big enemy.
Yeah.
The big I of the I.
Nice. I love that. And again, because not everybody will have been in or be as familiar with recovery. So some people will never work the 12 steps just because they don't end up in that program. But is there a practice or a principle from 12 steps Bhakti recovery that you think that every spiritual seeker could benefit from?
Yes, all the 12 steps. Every single one of them. And Jack, let me tell you something. All right, everybody, let me say something. We're starting something called the Bhakti Discovery Group. And it's organically growing only because there's a demand for it. I didn't plan on doing it. It just sort of happened. It's because there are a lot of people who want what's in a 12-step program, but they don't identify with the word recovery, and they don't want anything to do with that word. So organically, you should look at our events page. It's starting, it's starting, I think, next week at some point, once a month. I'm going to be doing talks about it. And if you go to the events page, you can sign up for that. Cool. And it's exactly this. So it's exactly this.
I love that. And I believe it. I know it's true. And I saw Angie and team celebrating because they're in recovery and they get it. And for those that maybe they don't know, you just told us the 12 steps. If you were to choose one, if you were to what practice, a principle, you've already said many great
11.
ones. 11.
That's where I want to live.
Okay.
Because it's all there. It's through prayer, meditation, and the chanting of the holy names to improve my conscious contact with Krishna as I understand him, praying only for knowledge of his will for me and the power to carry that out. That includes all the steps. I mean the 12 step too, because I have to give it all away, but it includes the first, the third, second. And because you've done all of the other ones, it's there. So the 11th step is bhakti, pure bhakti. It's if there's someone here who doesn't understand what bhakti is, it's we just take the Gita, and the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, just the conversation of Arjuna just saying no, and then finally, it takes place on the battlefield, and it's his journey of surrender. It's his journey of surrender. Of his surrender to who he is, what he should be doing, his surrender to God, to finally realize that God, to finally realize all the offenses he made from God because he was so taking for granted, he took for granted that Krishna was his friend. And it's a life journey. That conversation between Krishna and Arjuna is our life. We can use that in our own lives. It's like I said before in the beginning, I didn't like society. I didn't want to do that. I didn't know what my dharma was. If anyone doesn't know what dharma is, I guess just your calling, I would say, in a way. So I didn't know what my calling was. And, the society told me my calling was this, but I was like, no, it's not my calling. And, I got, just as Arjuna got called to Krishna, so did I. But I got called to Krishna through heroin. Hallelujah.
I love it. I love that you just that can have the playful, joyful attitude and just seeing the grace in it, seeing the beauty. So we've got a sense of your transformation, Jiva. We can see it, where you were, where you are today, and the great work you're doing. Can you share like just another beautiful transformation that you've witnessed when somebody combines recovery with devotion, with bhakti? Is there another example you could share? Not without names, of course.
Well, I think there's a lot of BRG people here, and I think they could even share. Does anyone want to share? Does anyone want to share? I would love it. Who's
If there's somebody that you want to call on, I'll bring them on.
I can't do that. I can't make them do that. I can't make them.
I just don't know which ones are in BRG. Well, you give us an example. And you don't have to say a name. I guess just like in general, when you see somebody who really sincerely, is on this recovery path, and they combine that with their devotional practice, with bhakti.
Well, I would say I'm moved very quite often by a few things. One that stands out to me are people who come from being a devotee and then coming into a 12-step program. And especially with codependence, and because we do also codependency meetings. By the way, all of our meetings are open. We don't distinguish any of the isms from each other. It's just manifestation. So
Suchitra, is she in your group? Is that so? Yes, let's get. We got an example here. I love it. Suchitra.
Hello, I'm Suchitra Devidasi from Boise, Idaho, and I've been a devotee since 2019. I joined the Hare Krishna movement because, I was a vegetarian and wanted to follow the four principles, but my son passed away 5 years ago, and I fell back into my addiction of drinking and smoking pot. I'm back into the 12 Steps program. I've struggled with my recovery my whole life, been in and out of, sobriety. I had a long time sobriety, 18 years before I relapsed again. And then after becoming a devotee, I am very interested in this bhakti recovery. And so I would like to participate more in the bhakti recovery program. I know I have found some online programs, Zoom meetings, but it's in the middle of the day, so it's hard for me to get on. And so like I say, I'm so thrilled that you're here today and talking about it. And it's true. I think the 12 steps is for everyone, not just for people with addictions of alcohol and drugs, but it's such a great way to clean up your life and live a much more spiritual life. So I'm just thrilled you're here and would like to know more. And I see someone posted about where the recovery group, how we can find out more information and bring this program also maybe to Boise, Idaho. We have a lot of programs here, but the Bhakti recovery would be a wonderful thing to have in our recovery setup up here. So thank you so much.
thank you, Hare Krishna.
I love it. Thank you so much, Suchitra. So it wasn't a testimonial from the BRG yet, but it sounds like a beautiful soul to get connected with. So let's send our love, high vibes to Suchitra Devidasi,
Thank you.
Boise, Idaho. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I see a lot of people who are devotees or yogis and who've never been able to understand that they've maybe they need a 12-step program so desperately in so many ways that in spiritual communities sometimes it's like you said, very hard to get vulnerable, and it's very nice to could you mute?
I did, yeah. I got them, yeah.
Yeah, I just find it really, I think devotees who have nowhere else to turn, especially when they're struggling. There are so many devotees struggling. There are devotees struggling with codependency in spiritual communities, with emotional sobriety. So many people are so ill-equipped to live in a community. Do you know, living in a community is not just like, oh, happy sunshine, cotton candy, and all of that. We have personalities that we need to deal with. And not everybody is inclined to be healthy in that way. So I have a lot of devotees coming who have really, really hit a lot of hard bottoms in struggling in that area, who come to the BRG and have found shelter. We have people who are just in 12-step programs who didn't have a higher power, who found Krishna in these programs and found a higher power and were able to go deeper. Because if we can surrender to drugs and alcohol, that's just one little drop of what we can surrender to.
Wow, that's so powerful. I got a few more questions. We'll open up for Q&A here in a little bit. But say if there's somebody watching right now and they feel like they might benefit from this kind of support, Bhakti recovery, what would you say to someone who might be hesitant, right? It's like a little bit hesitant, unsure.
Don't. Absolutely don't be hesitant. Show up. We're here. Nobody is going to be like, you're not an alcoholic. Do you know how many people who are non-alcoholics, non-addicts, none who show up to any meeting? Doesn't matter if it says AA, NA, doesn't matter. We're all practicing solutions to materially crippling disease, which can manifest in each different way. We just use certain 12-step literatures at the moment because they're the most effective. And so we'll have a codependent, we'll have someone who comes from a dysfunctional family, we have people who just don't really know how to deal with life in that way and have used the 12 steps and switched out the word alcohol or drugs or codependency or dysfunction and switched it out for whatever it is that they're struggling with. And it's been highly effective. We have, Dominica, who's my assistant. She's amazing. Shout out. And Tinika's here and my team is here. Pradhanat. I mean, there's so many people here who are chair people. They're the chair people. We have 20 chair people chairing 20 meetings a week. Well, 19 because I'm one of them. But they give their time and their commitment in service. It's a we program. This is it. It takes a village, doesn't it? It takes a village.
It does. I love that. Say if there's somebody listening today and they're feeling stuck in patterns, which happens to all of us, patterns that are holding us back from spiritual life, what message of encouragement would you offer them?
The most encouraging thing is if you're stuck in patterns, the very first thing to do is to ask for the willingness to not get stuck in patterns. To the universe, ask for the willingness to release yourself from those patterns, because it becomes, even I still have patterns. I get into the never-ending horrible loop of perfectionism and I can't get out. My team will tell you. I'll get sucked up into this image of what has to be perfect, and I won't stop until it's perfect. And what happens is that it never is perfect. So we all have some sort of attachment, and that's the thing. It's attachments. So start to pray, show up, come to a meeting. Don't be afraid. Just show up and be like, hey, my name is whatever. Or don't say my name is, do a pseudonym. Hey, my name is Harry. And your name isn't really Harry, but you want to say your name is Harry. Great, do it. But show up and say hello and keep an open mind and give yourself a break.
Boom. I love that. What does true freedom look like on a spiritual path? What is it this recovery ultimately give to our soul?
Bondage of the false self. Freedom is the release of bondage from the false self. Freedom is the beginning. That's the beginning of freedom. Is to be able to release the attachments of the bondage of the false self. And when we continue, we become more in tune with the true self, which is only part and parcel of Krishna. And then after that, it goes up higher and higher and higher. And I can't speak about that because I don't know how it is that higher. So
That's beautiful. I want that, the way you describe that. That's, I think we're seeking that. Our soul is craving and yearning for that. And I want to save time for Q&A here.
Sure.
So just thank you so much for sharing such wisdom. And I see our first hand up is Swati, who, if we get you on video, it'd be so great to have you come on down.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you able to come on the video?
I don't think I would be able to actually. It's dark right now and I'm outside.
Okay, well, that's all good. It's so great to hear your voice, because it's been, I feel like it was last year during Bhakti Yoga Conference. We got to connect many times. Welcome. What question have you got for Jiva G?
Actually, I have two questions.
Yeah.
So the first one is that, as you mentioned, that we all need a safe place to be vulnerable, like where we can be open about like I'm struggling with this, and like we need that sangha. So like often I have found that like even in the devotee sangha too, I don't find myself to be like being okay with myself. Like I sometimes feel that if I'm the way I am, if I present myself there like that, then they might not accept me. And even with the material people, like we can't, because they might use it like for our advantage later, like against us, that oh, you're such a person, you said that, and like I mean, you are not a stable person, like that. So how do we deal with that? And like I have often tried sharing with Krishna, but like we like, but still like I need some kind of safe place. I still need to be like, I'm not even able to find with Krishna, like. So what's wrong? I'm not able to figure that out.
So
That,
okay, go ahead. What were you saying?
no, that's it. That's my question.
So, the very first thing is self-acceptance. And this is something that I had to learn. If we're running around trying to please everybody else, now, of course, as being a devotee, because I think you are a devotee, as you greeted us with Hare Krishna, I know it's about selfless service, and I know it's about pleasing devotees. But that doesn't mean selling your soul. It means trying to get right with yourself and with Krishna. And if you honestly want to get right with yourself and Krishna, get honest with yourself. These are the things you will find your people. The people who don't stick with you because of who you are and what you're doing and how you're being, within, of course, within reason. They're not your people. They're just not your people. Just as much as perhaps, I don't know, let me ask you something. Are you very acceptant of other people and how they are?
Just get you back off and mute, Swati. Yeah.
No. I often put my own judgment against them that they should act in certain way, they shouldn't be acting this way. So no, I don't think so.
So maybe that's why you're afraid that people are going to be doing the same to you. And this is the thing. If we don't start with ourselves and get our relationship right with our maker and with our people, I don't believe that we have a chance of getting honest and having a true relationship with Krishna. Because here on earth is where we practice having a true connection with God between people, because we're all parts and parcels of Krishna, and it's part of the lesson. And the parts of ourselves that we don't accept, or the parts of what we think we don't accept or is acceptable behavior of anyone else, that is not for us to judge. That is for Krishna to judge. If I'm not right with myself, and if I'm not acceptant of myself, I'm just going to be wondering how many other people aren't accepted of me. So it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad you answered. I loved your honest answer. I appreciate that so much. that you're judgmental. We're all very judgmental. At least I am. I don't know if I'm judgmental, but I notice things about people. And the moment I do that, I say a prayer and I let it go. I don't want to judge anybody. We're all just trying to be the best that we can. And if we look at other people that way, they'll look at us that way too. That answers the question.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Swati. It's so great to hear your voice again.
Thank you so much, dancer. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances.
We're sending all our love, blessings over to Mother India. Thank you for the beautiful share. I'd love to call on next. I'd like to call on our friend Angie, and her dear friend up here in Canada. If we just get you off mute, just hit the unmute. So
I remember you guys.
Hello.
Hey,
Krishna.
just wanted to make this connection again, and remind me your name with
It's
Angie.
Duncan.
Duncan, that's right.
Yeah.
So great to see you again. So I just wanted to make the connection. Angie's right here in our hometown. We go to the local Krishna Cultural Center each week, and just really taking to Bhakti. And I know the two of you have been on the recovery path. Just any questions, reflections that come up from this conversation with Jiva G?
Jiva G, I have to ask you, when are you specifically online for meetings? I find you extremely inspiring. I'm exploring becoming a devotee. I just laugh because I'm really kind of struggling with, like, do I need a guru? Do I need that? Like all the stuff our brains like to do anyway, so we don't get it done. Like that's what I'm doing, and I'm giggling about it. But then a friend of mine reached out and she said, there's this great step program happening right now, or not step program, sorry, Bhagavad Gita course, and it's Kastuvidas. So I'm watching it and I'm like, all of a sudden I see like Jiva G there in front of a camera going, it felt like home seeing one of my people, like it was just, because it's overwhelming when you're at the beginning of it. And I'll tell you, like, I've never thought there wasn't a higher power, but putting some kind of label or, attachment to that, I struggle with. And when I was in India, my favorite part is bowing down and just looking at everybody and am I doing it right? And my heart just ended up landing down and everything changed. Like it brings me to tears still. Like there was just this, like you say, that God-sized hole, but there was just a bliss that happened for the rest of the trip. Like, and I'm someone that I always feel weight on my chest. It's just part of my nature. So I thought, and then it's been like the Krishna hook that you hear, like the people stepping forward, wanting to help, and me thinking, do I have time to go here? Do I have time to go there? I'm just so glad that you're here today. But I mean, I have 1,000 questions. I also have 1,000 thank yous for what you do. Because this is something that just helps people all over the world. I like that you didn't make it so inclusive, and that, these steps, you just put what you want in. But to be able to do it with Krishna is something I'm looking forward to do. And I would love to know how to specifically find you. My heart just wants to meet you one day. Like, oh my goodness, I just admire what you're doing so much. It's something that I want to be able to bring to my community one day. And I'm going to stop rambling, but
You're not rambling. Thank you. Angie.
Thank you so much. And it's my AA birthday today. And I giggled that this is my gift from Krishna, is that on that, I get to celebrate with you and learn more about
so happy.
So
That's so great. Hey, birthday.
Yeah, I didn't do it, but thank you.
Amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Please, yeah, we'll make sure we make the connection with all the WhatsApp group, all the details. But please, Jiva.
So first of all, thank you so much. I'm words like this make it for me worth every single rock that I have schlepped up that hill like Sisyphus. So I'm eternally grateful for your words. I'm also eternally grateful for all the people who do service for the Bhakti Recovery Group, all the people who help me do what I'm doing. I couldn't do it alone. I was doing it alone for a very long time, and I was finished. And I have a community of people who believe in this and who live this as well. So Angie, you're welcome into our community. Anyone is welcome into our community. As far as meeting you, if you're in Canada, are you near Toronto, or where are you?
I'm a couple hours north of Toronto.
Okay, well, I will be in upstate New York in August at a retreat for a weekend, the Super Soul Farm at Raghu's.
I just got goosebumps.
I expect for you to be there.
I love this.
It'll be exactly that. And I'm also hoping that Jack will come. So yeah, please go to the website. And like Abby Jack said, that'll be all of the events are on there. There's so many resources on that. And 12 noon New York time on a Thursday is when I chair my meeting.
Okay, it's
So Thursdays at 12 noon.
Nice.
And there are other great meetings. It doesn't have to be me. There's so many great meetings out there with so many great people.
Of course, I just.
But there's the Thursday meeting is a great meeting because it's an all anarthas meeting, and an anartha is things that get in the way, any kind of negative thought pattern, anartha, anything that gets in the way of our spiritual progress. So it's an all anarthas meeting.
Love that.
Wonderful.
Did you want to say?
No,
Yeah, Duncan.
thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you again, Jiva.
You too. I recognize you right away, you guys.
I am so blessed at starting with a 12-step program, and reaching that 12th step and having that psychic shift to realize I am not in charge of this planet or this universe any longer, that there is something greater than myself that I can rely on. That's the only way. I tried to quit. I was an alcoholic. I tried to quit on my own, and I could quit. And I quit many, 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 many times. The staying quit, I could not accomplish on my own. And if there was no power out there greater, if there was nothing out there, I was doomed to die an early death. That was all there was to it. And I was blessed. I was saved. I found it. I found my spirituality through Native North American teachings. I was raised in a Christian household, and as a little kid, I couldn't accept it. I didn't feel like I fit in, so I rejected all of that. And at the age of 13, I started drinking, and that became my medicine, my relief from all the anxieties I felt. And it's so nice to find a power greater than myself to actually take that anxiety away and allow me to walk through this world a free person. And Swati, I loved what she said, and she admitted the prejudices that we carry, and I do too. I was born in 1956 in an era where we were socialized that these people were bad and anything different than around you wasn't right. So to get that out of your mind is very difficult. Now I find when those feelings come up, I have to look at myself. What is that I am judgmental about that person? Is that in me? And I get to reflect on that. I get to ask for help with that. I don't have to push it on that person. It's not them. They're another human being walking this earth, doing the very best they can. And I know that now. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you guys so much.
Yes. So beautiful. Well, let's send our love, gratitude, Angie, Duncan.
Happy anniversary!
Happy anniversary! Wow, what a celebration! And Beautiful. Like, so we're want to be respectful of time. We're on the hour, but what would you leave us with, Jiva? Just in a few words, as we kind of step into the rest of our journey, our bhakti path, our spiritual path, yoga path. What would you wish for us? What would you leave us with?
I would wish that every single person here would start their day by getting out of their own way. And how to do that is to ask God to come into your life every single minute of every single day. Because when we're that, if we do that, we are very, very, very susceptible to God's hand in things. And that's what we want. So I'm praying that everybody will find solace in a power greater than ourselves, and to realize, not just on the surface level, but on the very deep fibers of our being, that there is no material solution for our spiritual bankruptcy. And if we keep going on the path of trusting God and loving God and investing our time and energies in the power greater than ourselves, our life will change, period.
Wow, so beautiful. Thank you so much, Jiva G, for sharing your wisdom, your experience, your heart with us today. And just like a great reminder, this path, spirituality, bhakti, it's not meant to be walked alone. So everybody here who joined us live, thank you for being with us. Those who are catching the recording, thank you. If you'd like to keep exploring Bhakti Yoga Conference, the full schedule is up on the website. Next session starts in an hour. So get outside, get some fresh air, top up your herbal tea, and we'll be back here in an hour. But until then...
Is it the same? Is this the same link?
Same link. Join us again. Venkatabhata Prabhu from Princeton is going to be joining us. But thank you, Jiva. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let's all take a deep breath together. Enjoy a big inhale. Exhale. Gentle. Let go. Again, deep inhale. Exhale. Gentle smile on your face. Deep inhale. Exhale, gently open your eyes. Namaste, Hare Krishna.
Namaste, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Jack. I love all you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being with me and spending this beautiful afternoon with me.
Beautiful. Love it. Wishing you all an amazing day. We'll see you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.